My name is Sandy Adomaitis, the social media director for the Page International Screenwriting Awards, and your host for the Writers Hangout, a podcast that celebrates the many stages of writing, from inspiration to the first draft, revising, getting a project made, and everything in between. We'll talk to the best and the brightest in the entertainment industry and create a space where you can hang out, learn from the pros, and have fun. Hey writers, it's Sandy. I'm coming to you from Studio City, California, the jewel of the San Fernando Valley, and we're in the first quarter moon. There was a breeze, at least in my part of Studio City this evening, so I poured a glass of wine. I'm laughing at myself. Wine. So I poured a glass of wine and sat outside with Sophie Jo, and it was a perfect evening. Writers, I handle social media for the Page Awards, in addition to the Writers Hangout. I exchange DMs and comments with you all. You guys are so smart, funny. You make me laugh, and you're kind. A writer commented on one of my Instagram posts today, and I felt like they were on the verge of giving up on writing. So I responded, offering my perspective on the discussion and acknowledging the challenges of the writer's journey. The writer wrote back saying my response sounded like Chat GPT, then went on a disgruntled rant. I don't usually respond to rude comments. In fact, I don't get rude comments. But this time, I decided to write back and say, next time an industry professional engages with you online, be respectful and not a jerk. Writers, sometimes you're in front of your moment, and for some reason you fumble the ball because you're being defensive and you're angry. When your moment's there, you can take it or you can reject it. No one owes you anything in this life. And I'm not saying that our interaction was this big interaction and it was going to change this writer's path or course, or it's going to change anything. But I would have gone above and beyond to help this writer. And it's not every day somebody with over 20 years of experience in this industry gives you time. And when you get it, take it. And again, you guys are the best. I just love when you reach out to me. You know, we're here because of you. I am so grateful for all of you. Anyway, have any of you out there come in hot only to realize later you might have lost a professional connection? Raising my hand. Let me know at thewritershangoutpodcast@gmail.com. It's just spelled out, the Writers Hangout Podcast @gmail.com. It would be fun to read some of them on the podcast, and let me know if you want to be anonymous. Okay, let's start the show. You've been asking me for an update on Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, and recently some new and interesting events have come up. I'm going to go over 3 of them here. I have covered this lawsuit in over 5 episodes, and if you want to go into a deeper dive into the beginning of this case, please go back and listen, but I'll do a quick recap of the case. It all started way back in December 2024 when Blake Lively came forward with accusations of sexual harassment against Justin Baldoni when they co-starred in the romantic drama It Ends With Us. I watched it on Netflix. I think it could still be there. It Ends With Us was directed by Justin Baldoni with a screenplay by Kristin Hall based on the 2016 novel by Colleen Hoover. It tells the story of Lily Bloom, played by Blake, who moves to Boston to start a new chapter in her life. There she meets Riley, played by Justin, a neurosurgeon completing his residency. The two are drawn to each other and begin a relationship. Lily's first love appears and brings up her traumatic past. Back to the recap. Blake Lively shared those misconduct claims by Justin with the New York Times. Blake's publicist claimed Justin orchestrated a public smear campaign to damage her credibility in the wake of the harassment claims. Baldoni tried to hit back with a $400 million defamation and extortion countersuit, claiming Blake and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, tried to destroy him and hijack the premiere of It Ends With Us. Unfortunately for Baldoni, Judge Lyman, the judge in the case, dismissed the lawsuit in June, this just past June. Now, since we last talked about, that's the end of the recap, and since we last talked about the case, 3 things have happened. July 31st, just a few days ago, Blake Lively sat for her deposition. Let's step back for a moment. A deposition is a pre-trial oral testimony of a witness taken under oath outside court, recorded by a court reporter. This happens during the discovery process, allowing both sides to gather information, identify case strengths and weaknesses, spot inconsistencies, and potentially lead to a settlement. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Blake gave her testimony in her lawyer's office, not unheard of. That was me commenting, not unheard of. And there was a surprised guest. Can you take a guess who it was? Need a hint? He likes to leave long voicemail messages in a husky voice. Still don't know? Come on down, Justin Baldoni, and take a seat. Although you are not legally required to attend this meeting, staring down the female who is accusing you of sexual harassment is not a move most would make. Brave choice? I don't think so. Reality T reported, Baldoni said, if she's going to accuse me, she's going to have to say it to my face. Again, my opinion, not a good look given the case. Read the room. Reality T goes on to say, Lively's deposition lasted for several hours. Aside from the 2 actors, it was attended by legal teams of both parties, a videographer. Ooh, that means we're gonna see the video at some point. A source noted that the 37-year-old actor, wait, did they put the ages of anybody else in this article? Gotta do better. Okay, where were we? A source noted that the 37-year-old actor didn't even flinch with Baldoni's sudden attendance. Okay, I'm not familiar with Reality T's standards, things like how many sources they require before printing something. So I think that report I might look at with a grain of salt. Number 2, the second thing that has happened. Wayfair, Justin Baldoni's production company that produced It Ends With Us and backed by a billionaire, is going after some of the biggest insurance companies in the world for denying them coverage to fight Blake Lively. Writers, when you are shooting a TV, when you're filming anything, you have to have an insurance company to back the production. Now, when I worked at Davis Entertainment, I remember dealing with the insurance companies and getting certificates, and I was a baby. I had no idea what I was doing, but it all worked out. There was no issues. The insurance people I spoke to, they were all really quite cool. I remember one of them took me to lunch, but I can't remember his name. Okay, where were we? So they are going after some of the biggest insurance companies in the world for denying them coverage to fight Blake Lively. And basically, the insurance companies are coming back with, you, the production company, did not inform us, the insurance companies, that Blake Lively and others complained of sexual harassment during pre-production and production of the film. So I guess they say, you screwed up, we can't help you. Now, this gets complicated with New York Mariners. Oh, I can't remember. I think it was Mariners. Anyways, Harco National Insurance Company, Lloyd's, all being involved. I'm going to keep my eye on this, and I will update you as the story unfolds. Okay, up next, number 3 and the last. Content creators are finding their way into the legal clash between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni as Blake Lively subpoenas drew mentions of Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, and Perez Hilton. Wow, isn't that an interesting grouping? Now, what is a content creator? Content creators, they live on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and online. They share various videos or images to educate, entertain. They're promoting what they want to talk about, what they want to present to the world, be it pop culture, politics, family, knitting, shout out to Cousin Molly. They craft content that connects to their audience. The popular content creators have millions of dedicated followers. Their reach into your algorithm is powerful. Now, I'm going to read to you from an article I found in Courthouse News online. And I just thought that this article laid it out really clean, very clean, crisp, very brilliantly and very quickly. And I'm not going to read the whole article. It starts, lawyers in a Lively Baldoni feud spar over subpoenas of Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, by Eric Ubilacker, and it came out on July 30th of this year. Content creators are finding their way into the bitter legal clash between Hollywood A-listers Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, as a Wednesday hearing on Lively's subpoena drew mentions of Candace Owens, Meg Kelly, and Perez Hilton. Okay, I have to interrupt right here. Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, obviously I know who they are. We're going to put them off to the side. Perez Hilton. He took that name. It's a takeoff on Paris Hilton, because this is the early 2000s when Perez is coming up. He's online and he has a blog, vlog, whatever it was called. It was just a site that he updated constantly all day. And he sat in a coffee shop. I don't know, legend has it on Sunset Boulevard. I really don't care. But this man would draw the most disgusting, amateurish drawings on young Hollywood women's faces all day long, every day, hour after hour. And it doesn't surprise me that a Perez Hilton would. No, he's cleaned up his act. He has children now, blah, 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 blah. He's always trying to clean up his act. But it does not surprise me that Perez is allegedly involved in any of this. Okay, back to the article. Lively wants to subpoena Liner Friedman Cooley, the law firm of Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman. She suspects, now Brian Friedman was also in the Diddy trial, if I remember correctly. Oh man, break your heart, that trial. She suspects that Friedman is part of Baldoni's supposed ongoing smear campaign against her, and that Friedman is using his deep Rolodex of influencer clients to circulate the campaign online. I am sure Brian Friedman, spelled Bryan, has a very deep Rolodex. Kids, back in the day, we didn't look up people on the computer. We wrote their name on a card and put it in a Rolodex. And when you were looking for a name, you would flip the Rolodex. And one of my favorite lines from Cynthia Seghetti was, way back in the day, best improv teacher who taught the best of the best in LA. You name them, from Conan O'Brien to Pee Wee Herman to Lisa Kudrow to Phil Hartman, legends. But she would yell from, you'd be on stage and she would say to you, if the subject matter is pizza, you have to flip through the Rolodex of your mind of everything you know about pizza. And that works with writing too. If you're writing a scene and you're writing dialogue and you don't know what to do next, and you're in a pizza place, just flip the Rolodex in your mind of every single thing you know about pizza. And trust me, your next scene is going to come to you. Where were we? Attorney Ellen Garofalo argued lively subpoenas, which seek information about agreements between content creators and freedmen, are overly burdensome to the firm, risk breaching privilege, and should be squashed. Garofalo also complained, I hope Janeane Garofalo does get to play this part in the movie. Garofalo also claimed that no such agreement exists, prompting the judge to question why he need to rule on the issue in the first place. This is what the judge is saying back to Garofalo. Why are you asking me to write an opinion saying you don't have to answer the question that you've answered here today in front of this assembled crowd? Asked U.S. District Judge Louis Lyman, a Donald Trump appointee. I agree with the judge. In addition to Friedman, Lively's team also subpoenaed right-wing influencers Candace Owens and Megyn Kelly, as well as gossip blogger Perez Hilton, all of which purportedly have working relationships with Friedman and produce content criticizing Lively over the feud with Baldoni. Lively's attorney, Michael Gottlieb, pointed to past comments from Friedman, quoting him as saying, Lively has a reputation for being a bitch and is a narcissist who cannot accept how she has behaved. That's either here nor there. You don't get to sexually harass bitches or narcissists. There are the things Mr. Friedman says when he goes on his client's shows, Gottlieb said, arguing in support of the subpoenas. Gottlieb added that it is a misrepresentation to suggest that no agreements were made between Friedman and his content creator clients. He argued that, by his account, Perez Hilton posted more than 500 times about the spat between Lively and Baldoni on his gossip website, with the post skewing in Baldoni's favor. We'd like to know about Perez Hilton, Gottlieb said. We'd like to know if there's actually an agreement in place between the two of them. Owens, Gottlieb claimed, has shared an exclusive scoop about Lively and Baldoni that used information from Friedman's affidavit. Interesting. Gottlieb also argued that he was recently made aware of a text chain in which Friedman introduced Baldoni's team to another content creator client of his, who then went on to disseminate content attacking Lively. I am unable to say the name of this person in open court, Gottlieb said. Lyman didn't immediately rule on whether he'd quash the subpoenas, though he did say that he found one which seeks Friedman's communication with various meaning sources tremendously broad and actually quite chilling. Still, the judge's ruling is still unlikely to end this saga, with both sides apparently disagreeing on whether agreements were made between content creators and Friedman's law firm. Gottlieb acknowledged he may move to compel discovery in the not-so-distant future. Lehman previously quashed subpoenas from Lively, seeking Baldoni's phone records, finding them overly intrusive. Just in case you're new to these reports about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, I don't think I hide it, or I'm not trying to hide it. I am on Blake Lively's side. And some of you have written to me. We've gone back and forth in our takes. I've really enjoyed that communication. So if you have thoughts on this, again, write me at the Writers Hangout Podcast at gmail.com. I'm crazy about you guys. I'm so glad we get to spend this time together. See you next time.
And that's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Your positive feedback will help us keep the show going so we can continue bringing you more future episodes. Remember, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards, with executive producer Kristin Overn, producers Sandy Adomaitis, and myself, Terry Sampson. And our music is composed by Ethan Stoller.